Hey, I'm always missing class and I hit the path. Been a long road, 22.
Welcome to State of the Arts. My name is Mick. Thanks for joining us. Guess who's with us this week?
My name is Keith Armour.
Keith is here. I finally have Keith, Mr. Velvet Butter Voice himself. How are you?
I'm great, actually.
Good. We have some tea. You biked here this evening. You're having a...
I did. I biked here.
Good.
I have safety lights and everything like that, reflective tape, the whole 9 yards.
But the last time you were here, you had talked to me about cold-pressed coffee.
I did talk to you about
Did you get a chance
cold-pressed
to
coffee.
try that cold-pressed coffee?
I did. It's delicious.
Yeah, and you homebrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
You just grind it up to a medium, chunky kind of state. You don't fine grind it. You put it in a mason jar. I think it's like if you put in, in my mason jar, which is, I think, about a liter, I put in 3 full scoops of the regular coffee measure.
Okay.
And then fill it up
Yeah.
with cold filtered water. You do not heat the water at all. And then you
No.
put it in the fridge for 14 hours. And then you strain it through a paper filter into your mug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's delicious. It doesn't need cream. It doesn't need sugar. Well, I don't take a lot of cream and sugar anyway.
No. Do you so it would be like a cup of coffee. You don't have to water it down or anything. Like you
No.
don't say no cream or milk. That's
No.
interesting. I'll have to try that because I like trying new coffee things because coffee is good, but it fights back sometimes, and I got to find different ways of.
Have you ever heard of the coffee mantra? Are you familiar with the Dune mantra, Frank Herbert's Dune?
I'm familiar with Frank Herbert's Dune, but not overly.
It is by my
with the-
will alone that I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Sefu that the thoughts acquire speed, the lips acquire stains, the stains become a warning. Well, it is by the, there's some similar thing for coffee, right?
Okay.
It is by my will alone that I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of coffee that the thoughts acquire speed, the teeth acquire stains, the stains become a warning. Or the hands acquire shakes, the shakes become a warning.
That's the one for me.
Yeah.
The shakes and then the evacuation of lower. It's a. I don't smoke, but I don't need that kind of life in my life. Anyways, happy jokes aside.
Left turn.
That's right. So we were just at the Forest City Comic Con.
Yes.
Not
Forest
we
City.
collectively. I was there. You was there. You were there. You were there with a friend.
All of London was there.
You were there with a potential future Mr. Loblaw.
Yes, a local author
Yeah.
of the Spellbound Railway series,
Right.
a series of books about kids that can cast magic, that grow into adults who can cast magic.
That's right. And so he had a booth there, right? He was set up. He was he was selling and autographing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
That's nice. That's nice to have a place where people can come to you. And he said it sounded like he had done fairly well.
Well, yeah, year one, I think he sold about 2 books.
Right.
This time, he actually sold enough to pay for the booth to cover the cost.
Hey, if
So
you're,
that's
net,
like
net
at least
neutral
20.
is, yeah.
So that's
awesome.
at least 20. So net neutral, he was good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully it's like the Singularity. Last year was 2 books. This year is at least 20. Next year will be 200. The year after that, 2,000.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work.
I'd like
supposed
it.
to work, you know. So, what is your connection to this lovely man who writes books?
I did the book covers.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
I finally saw all 4 of them clearly
Mhm.
on there. They're wonderful. I like the
Thank you.
the last one was really, really cute too. I like the hair. I don't know what the
Oh, that spiky kind
Yeah.
of anime,
kind of a cloud from Final Fantasy, I think. wasn't it?
Final Fantasy kind
Yeah.
of look. Yeah.
Speaking of video games and all that kind of stuff. So you're an artist, sir. Graphic
do.
designer and an artist. And tell me a little bit about yourself. Because, again, you've told me, but our listeners don't know you from a hole in the ground.
Where should I begin?
Well, probably the beginning, I think.
Okay, in the beginning, I was born in Sarnia. Then I left.
The end.
Yeah.
Mm.
So then I moved from place to place. My dad traveled with the railway a lot. So we ended up in Toronto. We ended up in London. Then we ended up back in Sarnia again. Then we ended up outside of Sarnia in a little place called Forest. Then we ended up in Alliston. Then I left home at that point, stayed with friends here in London, got a job, and I think I was a little bit more enamored with gaming than I was in actually being successful. So,
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah.
and so I kind of concentrated in men in D&D,
Yeah.
and but Mike and I finally set down stable roots, here in London. Kind of got serious around age 25 when I got laid off from well, Peterson Electronics kind of was a local electronics or electrical supplier,
Right.
and they went under. So everybody lost their job, and I kind of got my specialty was sort of clerical and data entry
Okay.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and so the choice was to go back to university, get something right, and I went back in for English actually and history.
Interesting.
Got 2 years of that, but part time, so maybe about a year total.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was spread out over.
And then I switched to visual art.
Nice. Nice. What was Liz tells the story that she started out and she wanted to be in biology,
Mm-hmm.
a biologist or something in that field, and she obviously ended up in music. What was there something that happened? Was there something you were drawn one day and you were like, oh, I should do this, or was it? Do you know, or what did it just happen?
Well, I mean, I come from a day and age, basically speaking, where everything that you do has to, in some way, shape, or form, further your career, right? I mean, that wasn't a pressure or anything. I was just simply that was a button that was installed
Nope.
inside my
Yeah,
head,
no, I got you, bud.
right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people even now have those kinds of buttons installed.
Yeah.
So I thought that what I would do is I would go and become an English teacher, like my brother did before me.
Okay.
And
Noble profession, of course.
exactly. But what I found is that the study of English bleached any enjoyment and love for the subject out of it.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Especially poetry. Now, had I probably stuck with it, I probably could have had a little bit more fun with it. But I
You
was
would have found
drawn.
your niche, right? You would have been like, okay, maybe this isn't his, but maybe English romanticism or something.
But that just didn't seem to work out too well.
Okay.
And I had always drawn, and I, since I was like a kid.
Mhm.
And this has been my big battle ever since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Well, I can draw already, but do I really want to go back to school for it? Do I want to waste thousands of dollars on it?
Yes.
And that kind of a thing. And ultimately, in the end, even for art, I mean, I did switch majors. I did go into visual arts. I took 2 solid years of visual arts. And then the job I was in at the time, which is an entirely different story, kind of changed around, and I had a choice between working in the office during the day for that job and or just remaining a part-time guy at night.
Okay.
And I had done some database design, so I took the day job and became very fast friends with the lady who owned that business. And the chat with Mike was actually, quite serious. He said, "Okay, so what do you want to do?" And I said, I'm going to draw and paint, and then I'm going to get my master's maybe, and then I don't know. I said, "What are you going to do?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to take English, and I'm going to take drama, and then I'm going to go to teacher's college, and I'm going to become a teacher."
Right.
I said, "Okay, so you're the pony to bet on."
Yeah.
Because really, to be honest with you, I'm just going to go back
Yeah.
into the office and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Or is that a fuckload?
Yeah, exactly.
Inside joke.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
so and finance this puppy and get this through. And he said, "That sounds, are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, because I could always go back."
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Having a backup. Yep.
17 years later,
Yes.
all my credits have expired.
Yes.
And so I am sitting there with my now good friend, Deborah Cordy, who owned the business. And she said, "Look, we're at 2,000 papers a day distribution. And to kind of know something about the paper business, we went from 12,000 distribution throughout southwestern Ontario down
Right.
to 2,500 on the critical day and 1,800 on the weekdays."
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see where that's
So
going. Yeah.
print
Yeah.
was dying as far as media, news media is concerned.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we just simply looked at that and said no. Now, Mike had been in teaching for about 7 years at that point. And, this is the love that I have for my husband. He just basically speaking said, "You know what? It's not working out anymore." And he goes, and I go, "No, it's not. We're either going to fold on our own, on our terms, right? Or it's going to collapse out from underneath us."
Right.
He said, "Then, well, whatever you do, I support you." And very lovingly, I have been out of the job for 5 years now, effectively retired.
Yeah.
Because I don't see myself going into retail. I don't, so I'm having a go at drawing and stuff like that, and sketching and painting and doing that sort of a thing. And I've done posters for local plays and for ones out at WEDS, which is Mike's Dramatic Society,
Yes, yes.
and
Very
the
interested to
book
get-
covers.
Of course.
And I've been in. I finally got into my first show this year,
That's right.
the Pride Art Show,
Oh.
with my my other nom de plume, Handel Masad, with his Norman Rockwell parodies.
Yes.
And so there we go. That's
Well, that is an interesting journey from A to B there. That's for sure, man. And there's very interesting things, and I just, if I remember them as we go back and talk about them, you say, like, you said you were from the generation that you gotta be doing something. My dad and myself, as a result, same idea is that you can't do nothing. You have to do something.
Yes.
But at the same time, I always have my favorite expression is the bills don't care where the money comes from.
No.
As long as there's money.
right.
And if you got to go get a job, you got to go get a job. And it's funny when you think about it in the end and you look about it, trying to be an artist. I've always somebody brought this up, and I don't remember where I heard this, and I wish I do. Do you recall not Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Final Crusade, the Last Crusade,
Yes.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, with
right.
Sean Connery.
Yes,
as well.
Junior.
Junior.
So there's that scene. It's the final challenge. He's trying to make it to the Holy Grail. And he is standing in front of a chasm.
Mm-hmm.
And the last clue is you have to take a leap of faith and you have to step out
Mm-hmm.
into nothing. And that's what it's like being an artist trying to put themselves out there and try to make a living as an artist. You have to get over your fear of taking that first step.
Oh God, yes.
Right? Because that's the fear, because you don't
Yeah.
know if that support is there, and that support could absolutely be there, but you don't see it because all you see is
Which
you
is
know.
exactly why this is possible now.
Yes.
Right? Because Mike is there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike is there. I can't thank Mike enough. He'll blush and he'll basically speaking say, "Well, you put me through school," and well, we did. That's the thing that I
Well,
remind
that's
him, but
partners are supposed to do that. Though,
that's
right?
exactly it,
Yes.
right?
A little push and
And-
pull.
Yeah. So now, now the other thing is that I've always had this kind of bias, this switch in my head. I call it faulty wiring, where everything that I had to do had to make money, right?
Mm.
And once I stopped worrying about whether something would make money, then that's when the brain lock would stop. And painting ideas and sketches would start to flow.
Yes.
And that's very recent, actually, because that's I actually just got away from painting, drawing, etc. for a while. Decided to help out with the porno play,
Of course,
right?
which we appreciate.
Thank you. It was great fun to do.
Yeah.
And I ended up with a role that
Now, isn't that funny? Because that ties into the last Nick's real quick,
Yep.
just as an aside. Nick speaks very highly of you and Mert, and how that character became to life because of you. You haven't heard the podcast yet. It'll be up.
no.
But he speaks very highly of you, and it's very interesting because I would never have known that you had never really done more than nothing.
Yeah.
You came to it with it seemed like you had experience.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And when something is fun and engages you, I think you can kind of just sort of pick it up and run with it.
Yeah.
Plus also, our particular role-playing group as well too loves, I mean, there are days, sessions where we don't even ever touch the dice. And we're all just sitting there,
Yeah. I
goofing off at the table, right?
I have 2 or 3 different D&D experiences in my life. There was the elementary school. We were just starting to get into it, and it was big in the 80s. There was the 90s when I was hanging out with my high school friends. Big shout out to the Losers Club from White Pines, where we would sit around and we'd play D&D, and it was fun. And then there was a later in my life, less than 10 years ago, I had a group of friends, and we would get together and play D&D. And this is a game that I keep coming back to, and the key is finding people who buy in. You can't half-ass D&D.
No.
No, you have to be there for it, and I like that. That's awesome. But and yes, it is absolutely practice for
For acting.
anything,
Yeah.
improv, anything like that,
Exactly.
which will tie into maybe projects later down the line.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's so are you working on anything in particular now? You just kind of kicking back. You're doing. You did the show that was intense. So a lot of time out of your day.
I just finished up the poster for Alice Behind the Looking Glass.
Okay.
We just tied up the show, for Comic-Con. And now there's a 5th book coming. Nick needs a poster for Porno Play 2,
Right.
which he has given me carte blanche on.
Now, did you do
And
the
that's
old one?
hmm?
Did you do the old one?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I took the image and messed around with it for
The video
certain
effect,
things.
that was awesome. I did enjoy that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we had to enlarge it a few times. I had to learn how to enlarge something.
Mm-hmm.
I mess around an awful lot with Photoshop, but I know only enough to be extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
Just
And-
enough to mess a photo up,
exactly.
but not to actually
and,
fix it.
and it's kind of like, just pay attention to what other people who know what they're talking about are saying, and then just make notes. And it's like, you knew that all along.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Photoshop and I have a long sordid history, and I've been using it off and on every couple of days for about at least 5 years now. And it is always amazing to me to find a new tool, find something new that I haven't used before, going, that makes that so much handier. It's interesting.
My big thing was just trying to figure out what resolution things should be at.
Yeah.
and it's like, if you want to blow it up, there has to be the information there for it to,
Absolutely,
to fill it out.
I appreciate the DPI. Like I understand the DPI. My problem is knowing when to use which DPI.
Right.
I know that at 1200 DPI versus 300 DPI, you're going to get a bigger image, and I understand that. But when you're looking at cutting and pasting, like I've been trying to get my website working for a long time, and
Oh dear.
right,
1200 on the web.
right, and you want to do a full screen. I did not realize that having a full screen slideshow was as difficult and as much of a pain in the ass as it actually was to get one up. And even now, it's not exactly what I want. I mean, I realize I have to pay somebody at this point.
Just knock it down to 72.
Yeah. Just leave it as is and say, you know what? If you just click on it, just click. Okay, so you got the posters done.
And next is, I've been working on this for a very, very, very long time, and that is my Norman Rockwell stuff. I actually love Norman Rockwell. I mean, you wouldn't think that when you look at the paintings, but with
Well, he's look. I mean, I really only know him from his Saturday Evening Post stuff. I mean, which is 98%
and his
of
calendar
stuff, but his calendars and stuff. And but there's always that. There's something about those pictures. They're just drawn in such a interesting quality, and there's something about the faces.
Wholesome.
Wholesome is a good word.
Wholesome, right? I mean, and innocent, and that's why I picked him, because I like to take strange, or as my friend Chris, the author, put it, Chris Loblaw, he said, disturbing things and present them as normal, as wholesome things.
All right. So this is an audio medium. So, but so can you describe that? Like, what are you doing?
Well, there's a, the final effect is the original Norman Rockwell, the one that I actually have finished, is the original was a picture of a hobo running away from a dog with a apple pie in his hand. So I took the pie out, put handcuffs on his wrist.
Okay.
Removed the dog and put in a cracking whip. Removed his clothing, put on harnesses instead, and then did up his face with makeup.
I believe I see where this is going, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it.
So then there's another one. Now that one was just accomplished by, again, taking a piece of board, painting a new body, photographing it, photoshopping it in place.
Sure, yeah.
Now that I have a tablet, it's a lot easier.
Your Cintiq, that big old...
My Cintiq, yes.
First time I walked in, I knew
You're
I liked
more than
this
welcome
man.
to come over.
I just want to touch your tablet, man. That's
Nobody touches it but me. Does that seem strange?
I got the old school, just the regular.
Oh, the Intuos. Yeah.
The Intuos stuff. But
that's still actually very useful.
It has saved me so much time.
I know. And then there's another Norman Rockwell. The original is a woman dressing at a dressing table for a night out with her daughter in her PJs.
Yes.
Getting ready to be tucked into bed.
Yeah.
So I removed the daughter, put a beard on. Well, I actually redid the whole thing in pencil crayon and water pencil crayon and acrylic,
Okay.
and then redrew the whole thing from scratch and did up a transvestite at the end of her show. So she had her 5 o'clock shadow coming in,
Brilliant. Okay.
and then changed the surroundings from a typical white picket fence suburban house
course.
to a cruddy backstage where the plaster's peeling off and the mice are
Nice.
crawling around. So
Nice. So is there an end game here? Do you have do you have a show, or is this just personal, or what?
it makes me laugh.
Personal enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know that's probably a wee bit self-indulgent, but it makes a lot of people laugh too. It actually offends some people as well too. So I mean,
What good art doesn't, sir?
I should, as the immortal John Cleese, well, he's not immortal yet, but anyways, once said there might be some people you might wish to offend. Actually, he was quoting somebody else. I can't remember who, but anyways.
Well, no, well, look, but offending people is just that's part of your job, though. I mean, to a certain extent, as long as you're not doing it to purposely offend. Like, the reason is that you're doing it to offend, as opposed to accidentally offending somebody.
Well, I think the other end game, because there's more than one, and that is just simply to present some things that ought to be blasé, but are maybe taboo. The one that's in the sketch phase right at the moment is a very Betty Crocker scene where a housewife is fetching corn cobs out of a boiling pot of water.
Okay.
And Billy has seen fit to insert Daddy's prostate massager in there. And she pulls it out and
I got you.
salad the corn cobs on a plate and whatnot. And,
Yeah.
you know, with the kitschy cat clock in the background and stuff.
This sounds fascinating. I can't believe I haven't seen these yet.
Oh, they're not on.
No, I
anything
didn't
yet,
think
but
they would be open for consumption, but
not
still,
yet.
you
Well,
know.
that's the thing. When we're done with Comic-Con, and now that I've had a few days to kind of chill out and relax, I have to kind of get back into it because I have been promising these for quite some time. And I've been rather remiss in doing it because of there is a paralysis that comes from not working and not doing anything.
Yeah, right.
And
it's not writer's block, but it's like a forward momentum thing. It's hard to get moving again.
Well, I mean, for 17 years, I was used to going in, and there would be like 30 messages on the phone, each one telling me what I need to do, for the day. There'd be complaints about the newspaper delivery or what have you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was my job back then,
Mhm.
was to plan routes for the delivery drivers, and then take calls from the stores. And so it was very straightforward, cut and dry. And then you lather, rinse, repeat, and begin, the preparations for the next delivery day.
Time to make the donuts.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we decide to close that down. And what do you do for yourself? Well, for a year, I went on some marvelous walks. Like that was great fun.
Yeah.
And but I focused on my health because it was not in the greatest of shape.
No, yeah.
I was 280 pounds 5 years ago.
I can't picture that. Yeah,
There is a
you were a very slender man. Your health is everything, man. I moved down here, and I mentioned this the last time we were talking. Just I stopped eating like an idiot, and and it really caught up. And
I know it can I don't know exactly what happened, but basically speaking, I think it was just when you don't really have a lot of time to think about your food, when your life is really crazy busy, you can just simply get into a rut. And really, to be honest with you, a lot of the food that's out there is really not that very good for you anyways.
oh God, no. Look, I have an insight on that, whether it's a good one or not. One part of the food thing for me was I stopped treating it like a luxury and started treating it like fuel.
Yeah.
Like I will still make tasty food.
Yes.
But generally is like, okay, does it have this, and this? And that's really all it takes. Whereas we go to restaurants, we are a restaurant people. Yes. We are a restaurant people, and every new restaurant that opens is offering bigger plates and more fatty, more salt, more everything and everything and everything, and there's no
Cheap carbs.
cheap carbs, and
Yeah.
it when it's really not that hard to
Mhm.
really just eat at home, and just
Mhm.
if we stopped treating food like something that it isn't, just
Right.
all it is to get you through the day.
Yeah.
Now I understand there's emotional eating and all that kind of stuff, and I appreciate that, but
Mhm.
that's I think if we could just focus again on just eating because we have to eat, as opposed to let's
Mhm.
stuff ourselves with everything that we possibly can in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Says the man who ate 3 bags of chocolate Halloween candy, but really,
Well, how often does that happen though, right?
once a year, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, when you have a double latte with double cream and double sugar and whatnot
Yeah.
every day or even multiple times per day, that's the
Yeah.
issue, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's things that we eat on a regular basis now that were treats 50 years ago.
Well, not for nothing, but one of those coffees that you just mentioned, calorically, would be more than an entire meal, a dinner from
Mhm.
the 50s.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
straight up, that's how bad that is for you, and it's shocking
Mhm.
that somebody will go back for a second one.
Yeah. And I mean, I've known people as well too, a lot in the gaming crowd. Will
Oh, God,
drink a 2-liter bottle of pop and a gigantic bag of Smarties or M&Ms or something like that, and that's not. I understand. I've done that.
Oh.
And they're tasty and they're delicious.
There's no judgment, but
No.
still,
It's not a
Yeah.
good idea.
No, and you and I, again, we have kind of reformed, and we're kind of out of it, and we always have to watch it because it does come back. But it's funny to look back now and look at it and look at them and say, just cut this out. Like, you don't have to cut all of it out. Just
I
one of
found
it.
I had to stop
Yeah.
doing that because people even if they ask.
I suppose, it's just that
I just-
annoying. You're the skinny guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had more than my share of fights about that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's like, so what did you do? Well, I did this. I cut back on my flour and my sugar to next to nothing except 1 day a week.
Yep.
And meat, vegetables, protein, other sources of protein, not just meat either.
Yes, big tofu
fish.
guy now.
Yeah. Tofu, not for me, because I got this thing about, unless it's fermented, like fermented soy,
Okay.
like natto.
Allergy or
Well,
sensitivity?
no hormonal.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I
Yes.
do not
Does not
need
agree with you.
any more estrogen.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I like soy because it's cheap and it works. You know?
Yeah.
And again, the idea of fuel.
Mhm.
You just cube it up and throw it in your salad. There's your protein.
Kimchi too.
Kimchi's good. Yeah.
Kimchi's really good. Have you found a source of kimchi that you like, or do you?
No. I mean, I get it in such limited doses.
Yeah,
You know.
doses. You make it
Yeah.
sound like methamphetamine.
Well,
Oh, kimchi.
be so good. you got any more of that kimchi? Yeah.
Yeah, the price has gone up though.
Yeah. Well, like any good product that people are yearning
Exactly.
for, much like crack, the price goes up. You get the first little bit for free.
Crack chi.
Crack cheese, that's right. Wow, you'd think there were some of the sauces that I used to make for State and Maine that we used to call crack. There was the dill dip, and it was it was mayonnaise and sour cream with all sorts of other good stuff, like fresh dill, yummy fresh dill. But just it's one of those dips though that the salt content is so high that
What about the cholesterol?
I can't speak to that, sir. But I couldn't stomach 90% of the stuff in there. Not that it wasn't good. I'm trying not to be judgy about the restaurant, but for me personally, just I can't do that anymore. And the portion sizes were just too. The portion size plus the amount of calories in it. Give me a half order.
Share it.
Share. Well, that would be the other thing, but that's the like it just does Liz want a Philly cheesesteak? Like that's the secondary problem, right? What
Maybe
I want.
not.
No, probably not.
Well, you just ask her before you go. Would you like a Philly cheesesteak? Then we'll go here.
Okay, so have you got anything to plug? I mean, we're kind of we're coming up on our time frame here, so we're not that I want to get rid of you, but much like I said to Nick, nobody wants to sit here and listen to us for 3 hours.
Oh, plug. Well, let me see here.
You just
Well,
like
I
say
mean,
hello.
No, I think I'm going to. I think that's pretty much it. I just love to paint, love to draw. We'll see where it goes. The plan is to just load the chicken cannon with as much shit as I possibly can, fire it at point blank at the wall, and see what sticks. Whether it's the acting or the graphic design or actual party type art or illustration. I mean, I've got an idea where I might actually sell some stuff on Patreon. You know, for people who do play D&D.
That is great.
Little drawings, maps, etc., handouts, that kind of thing. You know, give me 35 cents and I'll, you know, but you do that 10,000 times, who knows? That's my mind, again, kicking into, you know, you got to make money sort of thing. And my mantra now is it just simply has to be fun. If it isn't fun, then I really don't want to do it. And the other half of my mantra is that I want to make it fun for both Mike and I.
Well,
you know,
again,
and that's the thing. So
yeah, if it's only fun for one of you.
It's kind of solitary and relatively masturbatory, but anyway.
But that's for the next.
Can we say that on this podcast?
We can absolutely. We can say whatever you'd like, sir.
Oh, very good then.
It's my microphone. If you don't like it,
my microphone. So if I want to say masturbation, I will.
That's right. So I think that's it. I've run out of questions, sir. So I think that's all we have for this
so now
week.
we're going to turn this around and we're going to talk about you during a podcast at some point in time.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, you know, this mystery man who likes to talk. Maybe you want to learn a little bit something about me. I don't know. Who knows? But
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So that's it. Look for me in the art shows that are coming up every once in a while. I'll submit to one, that kind of thing.
Well, work towards you got to work towards a show. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm working towards a show, like at the DNA or whatever art space. I think you got something there. It sounds like they're very, very interesting, and I think you could turn some heads, sir.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I said, it's a lot of fun, and that's mostly what I'm about right now at age 52. Having fun.
Having fun's good, man. Because look, one kick at the can, right?
That's it, and then you retire.
That's right. Well, one can hope. That's right. Well, that's all we have for you for the State of the Arts this week. My name is Mick. Keith was my gracious guest this week. Please remember to call your mother. She worries.
What's up, world? It's Free James. 519 to 604. Back to fucking